At low illumination levels, the Purkinje effect, also known as the Purkinje shift or dark adaptation, causes the human eye's peak luminance sensitivity to move toward the blue end of the color spectrum. The effect is named after John Evangelista Perkin, a Czech anatomist. Under differing degrees of illumination, this phenomenon introduces a change in color contrast. For example, geranium flowers seem bright in red broad sunlight against the drab green of their leaves or adjacent blue flowers, but at dusk the contrast is flipped, with the red petals appearing dark crimson or black and the leaves and blue petals appearing relatively bright. The effect occurs because green light is most sensitive in color-sensitive cones in the retina, whereas green-blue light is most sensitive to rods, which are more light-sensitive and hence more significant in low light, but do not differentiate colors. This is why when exposed to low amounts of illumination, such as moonlight, humans become colorblind. The Purkinje effect occurs in the mesotopic state at the transition between predominant use of the phototopic cone-based and scotopic rod-based systems. When intensity dims, the rod takes over, and before color fades completely, it moves to the rod's highest sensitivity.
The Purkinje effect, also known as Purkinje shift, is a difference in contrast named after John Evangelista Purkinje, a Czech anatomist who discovered it on his early morning walks in 1819. At low illumination levels, the human eye's peak luminance sensitivity tends to shift toward the blue end of the spectrum, because of the retina's color-sensitive cones are most sensitive to yellow light. The effect occurs like when you look at the sun. The retinal rods are more light-sensitive, excellent for low light levels, but they have a hard time distinguishing colors. Green-blue light is their primary sensitivity. This is why distinguishing other colors under moonlight is so difficult. As a result, humans become almost colorblind when exposed to low amounts of light. As light dims, the rods take over from the cones, and our color vision changes toward the blue-green spectrum until color completely vanishes.
This is the story behind Purkinje Effect. John Evangelista Purkinje was a professor of physiology at the University of Prague. He is credited with a number of important scientific discoveries. As a young man, he made a simple observation and came to some interesting conclusions. He was keen on walking outdoors in the early morning before it was completely bright. He noticed that his favorite red flowers, which seemed to be bright in normal daylight, seemed so much darker relative to the surrounding leaves when viewed in a very low light condition. This became known as the Purkinje Effect, and he speculated that humans have two separate systems for seeing, one that is used in bright light conditions and one that is used in low light conditions. The effect occurs because the mesopic conditions of the outputs of cones in the retina, which are generally responsible for the perception of color in daylight, are pulled with outputs of rods are more sensitive under those conditions and have peak sensitivity in blue-green wavelength of 507 nm.
Purkinje effect. The maximum of sensitivity to luminance of the human eye shifts toward to the blue portion of the spectrum at low levels of illumination. To come up with this theory on two visual systems of the eye, one designed to see the bright overall light intensity, and the other one is adapted for the mesopic range before dawn after the dusk. The mechanism of this shift is bias in neutral circuitry of the retina, and in particular circuits that are mediated by cells which intently involved in the switch between your rod mediate low light vision and your bright light. Color perception mediated by cones.